hosting the meeting. Okay, so I'll be hosting the meeting in his place as a caretaker host, and I'll be having help from my friend, Miss Fatima. And well, now we're gonna wait for Sir Anwar to join. And meanwhile, I can tell you about our guest, Mr. Sterling. How are you, Mr. Sterling?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for joining us, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Ahmad Sir Nurkhan is here also, so we can start the
Oh, okay.
session.
So basically, what happened was Daniel is having an electrical outage. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm the host today. And today we're kind of gonna go over the three previous habits of like the highly effective people, the ones we have already presented. And if you guys have any questions, you will discuss it today. But before that, I'd like to introduce our esteemed guest, Mr. Sterling, to the audience here. So basically, as you know, like every guest we have in this platform is special and has his own unique properties and capabilities that he has done and his own achievements. Mr. Sterling here is a junior at the University of Texas at Austin, and he's currently majoring in international relations and global studies. Additionally, government, history, and economics with a minor in Portuguese and certificates in business Spanish and security studies. So apart from his classwork, Sterling is active on campus as the ambassador of Youth Conservatives of Texas and an assistant editor for the Texas Horn, a vice president of International Relations and Global Studies Council, internal director for all students for Central and Eastern Europe, an officer of UT Young Historians, co-president of Intercultural Conversations, co-team lead of the governance team for the Innovations of Peace and Development Research Lab, and member of the Senate of College Councils. I mean, like that's kind of an enough introduction for like any sensible person to understand that the guest today we have with us is like you can say is very of high level, and like he has certain achievements that just you can say elevates him from the rest of us in most fields of life. And like his achievements in both his personal life and like international level are kind of an highlight for people like us, or like people who want to make change in their society at as well as on an international level to bring peace and all. So now I'd like Mr. Mosley to like speak a little about himself, please.
Yeah, definitely. And first off, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Greatly appreciate it. And so, yeah, that's sort of a brief introduction about what I do here on campus at UT Austin. But it's sort of aside from that work, sort of working with the local community, working with local leaders and campus leaders here in Austin, Texas. I've also participated in international programs. For instance, I was a youth ambassador with the US State Department to the country of Uruguay, where I worked with government officials there, local officials, nonprofit groups, and various other organizations within Montevideo, which is the capital of Uruguay. But aside from that, I've been a facilitator for a digital exchange program, where basically I assisted in pairing up high school students from around the world and ensuring that they can create a cross-cultural connection between them. And that's not to mention my current work now in Texas with the Texas Public Policy Foundation. I am a innovations intern, sort of ensuring that public policy legislation and public policy work is being researched here in Texas. And so that way that we can pass laws and ensure that our legislature runs smoothly. Furthermore, besides that, this past summer, I spent in Washington, D.C., interning with the Leadership Institute, where I conducted fundraising, ultimately raising over $40,000 for the organization to basically ensure that our American principles are strong and spreading throughout the country. And so that's sort of a rundown of what I have done and what I am currently doing, because I am avidly busy. And I do find that the more I take on, the more I'm willing to dedicate my free time to the causes that I care about and to the mission that I want to see and fulfill.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for that sweet introduction. And well, I didn't mention it before, but Miss Mosley here has also worked in Pakistan, and like he was also in he also did the youth camps, and he sponsored that in Gilgit, Pakistan, which is like the northern area of Pakistan. And yeah, so like he has certain effect on this world, and not just the United States, like almost every part of the world. Like you can talk about Europe, Asia, and like Latin America and everywhere, and he will probably have an effect there. So yeah, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask Miss Mosley, you should like you can just speak up, or you can leave it in the comments or like the chat, and he'll be happy to answer you. And beside that, since we are gonna review the 3 habits, I would suggest that you should get a pen and a paper to like write the important points if you want, and like ask the questions to Sir Anwar. So yeah, that's kind of what we are gonna do today. That's the gist of the today's session. So yeah. Now I'll ask Mr. Anwar Khan to kind of start us off on the habits.
Yeah, thank you, Ahmad. Thank you for being an MC of this program today. So that's great start. And I'm really great to hear from Sterling Mosley, and welcome to the group, Sterling. And I'm also in United States. I'm in Maryland, very close to DC. And maybe we'll discuss later on. I'd love to talk and chat about your activities and other things later on. But first of all, before I start with these habits, I will just start one question to Sterling, and maybe it help our youth also. So Sterling, you have already seen the youth in Pakistan, and also you are very actively working with the youths in United States. So what is the difference you see between those youth groups? And do you see any gap that our youth from Pakistan will need to fulfill, or any message you want to convey to them? And what are the new things that you are looking forward that is going to be changed around the world, and most of our youth should be aware of it and should be prepared for it to be the part of international growth and the progress? So can you please give us some guidance on that?
Yes, so I think that when it comes to the differences, or I guess a message that I can give you all is that make sure that you're continually seeking out opportunities. I have found in my life so far that whenever I seek out an opportunity and have a goal set, that eventually I will reach it. But that's only through every single day maintaining a schedule, setting small goals so that you can eventually build up to a bigger goal that you want to obtain. And I think when it comes to working with local leaders and in order to achieve those goals, it is important to be in continual contact and to make sure that not only the people around you, your colleagues, understand the end goal and the small goals that lead to that end goal, but also the individuals that you're working with, just to make sure that they have a solid understanding of what to expect from you, what you are expecting from them, and ultimately what you hope to achieve for the long-term vision of the program that you are trying to complete or the message that you're trying to get out. And I think that so far programs like this have been doing well in attempting to train individuals to achieve the missions and goals that you want to see and set forth. And I think when it comes to international trends, I think that there is a increasing awareness on the sustainable development goals set by the United Nations, not only here in the United States, but also throughout the world. And I think that as we continue to go throughout the 2020s, more and more individuals and more people are going to see that those goals are effective, that they're well thought out, and that they are ultimately what is going to allow us to combat things like climate change, things like refugee crises, famines, those type of things, so that individuals in local communities around the world can take action through these sustainable development goals, work with local leaders, and work with the people around you to make sure that you're doing your part on the local level. And if every single individual does that actively and seeks out the completion of those sustainable development goals, then gradually our societies will improve, the world will become hopefully a better place, and we will be able to combat the global problems that we face around the world.
Thank you, Sterling. And one good thing is that while Sterling was talking, maybe you guys noticed that he was basically described all those three habits, the first three habits, in a different way. So I'm just giving you a good example, and then I'm open this for the team. So he was talking about the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG. And if you look at the be proactive, so this is directly linked you with this SDG. Because if we are becoming proactive, then we are thinking ahead, we are planning ahead, we are going forward to see things that is not very visible at this moment, but it will be like something that is very important and critical. So SDG, and I'm glad to share with all of you that Daniel and his team is already working with SDG, Sustainable Development Goals and all those things. So this is something that even in the United States, most of the youth are not aware of this and working on this area. So this is another good example what Sterling was talking about. And then he was talking about begin with end in mind also, that whatever your goal, whatever your vision, whatever you want, just take a time for it. And let's try to plan it and get it done. And then he also talked about priorities, that you will need to make sure that you have priorities, put first thing first. So I think he touched all those three things very clearly on these his discussion, but I'm opening this to for other team members if they have any question, and then we can go from there.
Does anyone have any questions? Uh, anyone?
Am I audible?
Oh yeah, no, sure.
Okay, thank you. I'm literally grateful to Mosley because last time we had a camp, sorry, session in our school when I was at college, and it was about SDGs, and it was like most of our schoolmates were unaware of SDGs, and behalf of our school and my fellows, I'm literally grateful to Mosley that he put that initiative and most of the students got aware of SDGs. So thank you so much, Mosley.
Of course, thank you.
Does anyone else want to say anything? Uh, I think we can go on, Sir Anwar, please. Sir, I think you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. So let's go ahead and start with the discussion. And this discussion will be very interactive. And as just for your understanding, Sterling, that this is we started this group is basically a mastermind group. And the purpose of this mastermind group is grow and learn together. It's not like that just a person who just coming here giving lectures and then go back. This is a participation of everyone in the team. And first 3 habits actually, so all the team members, they get together and they join like 2 or 3 people in one team and they discuss these habits and very well presented these habits. So what we are going to do that we just want to review these first 3 habits. And since you are here also as our guest and we were looking forward for your inputs and all those things that we are going to discuss today. So let us start with this, the thought process of the author, Kavi. So basically, Kavi believes the way we see the world is entirely based on our own perception. Always remember that when we see things based on our perception. And it is true for everything around us. So in order to change a given situation, we must change ourselves. So always remember that we always try to change others. And basically, Stephen Covey gives a different philosophy, a different phenomenon, a different thought process. And what he was talking about that in order to change the situation, we must change ourselves. So we'll talk a little bit more on that during our discussion. So in order to change ourselves, we must be able to change our perception. So these are the 2 things can go very close to each other. That if we want to change ourselves, we need to change ourselves first. And second is that when we need to change ourselves, we must be able to change our perception. And we'll talk a little bit about more perceptions and all those things. But before we go further, I just open this floor with some questions. So can anyone of you is define habit? That what is habit? If you remember that Covey defined habit showing in a triangle, 3 different parts. So any one of you can help me out?
Sir, may I?
Yeah, please.
Sir, it consists of 3 things basically. That first you have a knowledge, and then you have a desire to learn that habit, and finally you have skills. So this is a triangle, and that defines a habit.
So knowledge, skill, and desire, these are the 3 important components to be an habit. So my next question is that that, and anyone can answer. Sherwani, you can answer itself. So can you define any of your habit or any habit that fulfill these three requirements, and how you think that these fulfills these three requirements? Again, the three corners are knowledge, skill, and yes.
May I go first?
Yeah, please.
So I like to draw, like doodle and maybe calligraphy sometimes. I like to like poke into all forms of arts. So for the knowledge part, I did take a few classes on calligraphy, so I know a few bits how to do calligraphy. That would be the knowledge part. The second part you mentioned was skill. So I've practiced a lot, so that would be like the skill part, I think. And the desire is when I want to do calligraphy. Usually when I am free and I have got time, that's when I do those. So that will be the desire part where that comes in. So there's this specific time where I do my artwork and everything. So that's one habit, one of my hobbies that fulfills the three triangles. And yeah, that's it.
Good example, Fatma. So anybody, anybody else wants to share that define a habit, what they think that this is one of our habit? It doesn't mean that you have to have that habit, but I just want to understand that can you link that habit with these three corners? So anyone?
Can I say, please?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. So I don't have this habit, but usually people have this habit of going on walks and like collecting things. And basically how I would connect this habit to the three is like, first you have to gain knowledge of what you're collecting. Like if you're going on a road and you see something, but for a common person, it may be useless, but for us, it will be quite valuable because we have knowledge about it. And then secondly, we like have to have skill to like collect those things. For example, if it's a tree and you have to have skill to find the tree, or you have a certain insect that's hidden somewhere and you must have some trail or information about how to find the insect. And that's how kind of like you can apply your skill to the habit. And then third is like for example, when we are going on a walk and although our mom may say that you should not pick up things from road or you should not just go and grab stuff, but it's kind of a pleasure, a guilty pleasure for you. But so you just go there and you pick up stuff. So that's how kind of this habit applies to all three of them. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ahmed. So now I want to give a little bit twist on my question. So the twist is that, again, my question is same, that I want to define habit in these three corners. The twist is that now I'm looking for some soft skills. So let's assume that you want to improve your attitude. I'm just giving an example. So this is an skill you want to develop, attitude. So if you look at these three corners, again, desire. Yes, we have a desire to improve our attitude because I will be more impactful, I will be more influential, I will be more presentable if I can improve my attitude. So yes, I have a desire. Now the next thing is the knowledge and skill. So first of all, do we know that what is attitude is? So these knowledge we need to understand, we need to learn. So attitude, maybe I'm just giving an example for you guys to get into more in the discussion. Attitude may be your face behaviors. Attitude may be your smiling. Attitude may be your body language. Attitude may be your tone. Attitude may be your behavior. So there are a lot of things that can be part of your attitude. So now you have to, if you know the knowledge that, okay, our attitude is based on like these 5, 6, or 9 criteria, then we start looking at that skill and how we develop. So, say, for example, one of the part of your attitude is a smiling face. Now you can stand in front of the mirror and smile and see that your smile will be scare someone, or it will help people to feel better. Body language, tone, and then practice it. Talk to your friend, family, and record on your personal video. We are very good on self recording all those things. So when you connect with those 3 corners together, you'll be automatically improving your attitude. So now I want to listen some examples for soft skills. So say, for example, if someone wants to improve his soft skills, or they already have some soft skills. So how you look at these 3 corners on any of the soft skills? And Sterling, you are also welcome to share your thoughts if you have any, please.
Yes. Well, something I did want to say sort of around this is something that I have found very valuable is making sure, and it's something that I've had to sort of make a habit of, is having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Basically, growth mindset is the idea that your intelligence can be developed and that you can gradually over time become a smarter, a more efficient individual. Whereas a fixed mindset is one where intelligence is static, and ultimately your lessons and your life, you will continue to have the same level of intelligence over time. So I think that having a growth mindset and getting in the habit of having that, always being open to criticism, of learning from your setbacks, of being willing to go up and face challenges, that I have found, at least in my life, has proven to be very valuable and has allowed me to get up from my setbacks, from when I fall down, to make sure that the projects that I'm working on, the programs that I'm working on, get completed. And I think that if you continually have sort of that kind of mindset, you will continually seek out opportunities, you will be successful. And I think it all comes down to habits and making sure that, because ultimately we are all habitual creatures, and making sure that every single day you have habits that lead to your end goal, that lead to helping your community, and that lead to making sure that you leave the world better than you found it, and that your principles and the mission that you want to see completed in this world ultimately comes to fruition. So those are sort of my initial thoughts, and it's been great to hear from some people from the group, and I'd love to hear more.
Thank you, Sterling. And I'm also looking forward, at least everyone need to share something, some thought, some way. So let me put another question the same direction. So say, for example, be proactive is one of the habits, and be proactive is basically you want to be more responsible. So if you want to make this habit as a be proactive, well, how you set up in these 3 corners? So anybody can help me out. So to improve your habit as be proactive, what you should be using these 3 corners for, and how you are be using this. So say, for example, for knowledge, for a skill, for desire. So I know that you must be desire for be proactive, but regarding the knowledge and the skill, what you are going to do? And this question will be answered by everyone. So there is no exception. Again, my question is that the first habit is proactive. Everyone has a desire. The question is that what the other two corners regarding the knowledge and skills, what you are going to do based on your personal experience and understanding of the first habit.
So may I?
Yeah, please.
Excuse
Yeah.
me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, our first habit is basically be proactive, which means that we should be responsible in every aspect of our life. So, for example, that if you are a university student, then you could not you have a proper schedule, and आप अपना जो आपकी जो डेडलाइन है असाइनमेंट की, आप उस पे जो है वो ना रहें, आप जो है वो उससे पहले काम करें. That's the thing. So first of all, if you want to create this habit, so then first of all you have the knowledge that what is basically be proactive, and how could we be responsible in this way, that we will schedule in that way that मतलब हम अपने जो है वो हालात को किसी किस्म की जो है वो निशान ना बनाए. मतलब जो कुछ भी है हमने ये पढ़ा है कि उसके सब के लिए जो है वो हम खुद रिस्पॉन्सिबल है. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल हमें ये नॉलेज होना चाहिए, एंड देन स्किल्स आप इस तरह से डेवलप कर सकते हैं कि अपना प्रॉपर जो है वो स्केड्यूल वगैरह बनाए. तो इस तरह से तो जाहिर बात है कि एवरीवन हैव अ डिजायर कि हम सबका काम जो है वो वक्त पे कंप्लीट हो. तो इस तरह से हम इस हैबिट को जो है वो अपना सकते हैं. So that's my point.
So good, Sharvanu. So Sharvanu talk about the skill she need to develop by creating schedules and make sure that everything is done on timely. So this is a good thing. So who is next?
I can go next. So for the soft skill of being proactive, the knowledge part would be me. Okay, so whatever task that I'm doing, it could be like academics or my extracurriculars. I have the knowledge of the task. Okay, this is the task I have to do. For example, I'm currently doing risk and I have to do fundraising and everything. So I realize, okay, fundraising is my task, and that's like my knowledge of it. The skill would be how am I going to like do that task? Okay, I will be making like plans to fundraise. I should have the skill of like communication and stuff for like fundraising. So that would be the skill part. The desire part is why should I do it? Why am I doing this task? So I think if you look at being proactive, the desire would be most likely the desire should be like more than like the knowledge and everything, because that's when the desire is what actually forces, well, not forces you, empowers you to do that beforehand, because being proactive is planning ahead and doing things before the deadline, and like just doing the things before the deadline's there and being prepared for things that might come up in the future. So that was it from my side.
Okay, thank you, Fatma. So yeah, who's next?
Can I go next, please?
Yes, Amir, please.
Oh, okay. So being proactive is, well, I'll tell you an experience of mine from my exchange. I went to the United States in 2019 on exchange program, and well, we had this like a compulsory task to do 100 hours of community service. And well, I think the soft skill of proactivity kind of helped me get through it and kind of was improved, because like for the knowledge part of the community service, I knew that I had to do the community service. I had to complete the 100 hours, or like I wouldn't have been applicable or wouldn't have been good enough for the exchange requirement and all. And like it kind of helped me to like think ahead of my mind and be proactive and like decide things before. And then as for skill part, when I got to the United States, I had this teacher, like my Spanish teacher, and he provided me with a set of skills. Like he introduced me to different communities and like different organizations that helped me kind of, let's say, that helped me in organizing the community service, which kind of enhanced my community development and like the skill for proactiveness. And then for the desire part, that's the most interesting thing. Like, although you can procrastinate for the longest time, but that desire came when they told us that if you complete like 100 hours of community service before everyone else, you will get a Amazon gift card of like 50-ish dollars. And like that was desire enough for me to like just do the community service. And well, yeah, that's kind of it. That was kind of fun. And although it was fun, it also helped me to like improve my soft skills. And when I came back from the United States, I kind of became a whole new person with a whole new perspective and all. So yeah.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Ahmed, for your excellent example of your personal life and experience. So technically, just making it a summary, and those people who didn't talk to my first question, maybe they will volunteer for my second question. But again, just giving a little bit more that when we are talking about proactive regarding we are planning ahead. So as we already talked and discussed that we should start ourselves. That okay, we should be how we should pray. When we start ourselves, then it can have you can divide your personal life into different sectors. Maybe your health, maybe your education, maybe your goal, maybe your family, maybe your friend, maybe your community. So when you start being proactive, you can start thinking accordingly. So say, for example, if you're talking about your health, thinking about your health as a be proactive, again, if you're looking at those three corners, again, yes, this is always a desire. Everybody has a desire to good health. But the next question is that do they have knowledge that to be healthy, what should be your diet practice will be? What should be your physical requirement will be? What should be other things that you need to adopt to being healthy? So this is the knowledge. So if you want to make an habit that you should be a healthy person, then you need to acquire the knowledge. And when you have the knowledge, and one of the knowledge you get is that you have to do some exercise, and maybe whatever the exercise you select, then you start practicing it. This is the skill development. And if you know that, okay, what type of diet is good for you, what type of vitamins you need to take, how long you should be sleeping. So these are all the knowledge. And then based on knowledge, you are creating, developing your skills. And now this will become your habit automatically. So, so technically, there's a lot of different things that we create. First of all, start with yourself. And same way we can divide in education point of view. If you want to look at your education goals, you again look at those three things again, that which direction you want to move, and accordingly we prepare for that. So my next, before I ask next question, anybody has anything or any comments, whatever we have so far? If not, my first question was regarding habit. My second question is that what is paradigm? And I want this answer to anyone, but mostly those people will talk who didn't talk earlier. So who else that has not talked? So maybe Mushahid, Fazan, Hamad, Fatma Sheikh, Noor, any one of you who want to share what is paradigm?
May I, sir?
Yes, please.
Paradigm is like, let's give a situation, and how I perceive that situation, how I get that situation, the idea which came in my mind, And what I think is that's like paradigm, sir. Like, let's give an example, and the example is like, uh, I have to wake up early in the morning, and the idea or why I want to wake up in the morning is like it makes me fresh and proactive. So that's my idea, that's my thinking, how I get that thing, and that's paradigm. And then paradigm shift is like, uh, जब आपका वो जो आपने जो चीज परसीव की हुई है वो जब आप चेंज हो जाती है तो वो पैराडाइम शिफ्ट कहलाती है. That's it, sir.
Okay, thank you, Noor. So can anybody also give that some thought that what is paradigm and what is paradigm shift? I know that there may be some people who are having some problem with their Wi-Fi connections. So they can send the text messages, and Ahmad, you can help us to read the text messages. And in the meantime, any of our other members that already shared, if they want to say anything.
Sir, so Fatma Sheikh says that change in how people think and get things done, like that's an example of paradigm and paradigm shift.
Okay, so this question is normally I'm asking directly to Fatma. Yes, sure.
Paradigm is like something the way I look, the way I look something for desire, sir. If I have a desire for something, the way I am looking at, and with the hope that I am looking at, with the ideas I am having in my mind, is all about the paradigm. Sir, when I am doing the thing, I have a set of ideas in my mind that I will do the thing in this way. So I have a clean vision of the thing. So when I am doing the thing, when I get failed or something, if I achieve the thing, then my way of looking at the thing get changed. Then my perception of looking at the thing get changed. That means the shift of paradigm.
Okay, good for that. So I think Fatma wants to share something.
Yes, sir. So I'm gonna go along the lines Fazan described paradigms. Paradigms are basically so my set of concepts, whatever I believe in, the values that I have, the way that those values and the ideas and the way that I've been brought up, those affect how I view reality, how I view things. So my values, my concepts, and the way I've been doing things will affect the way I view at reality. For example, if I put a situation, I participated in an activity or a competition and I didn't get the first position. So if I've been like competing in my past, I've been competing in competitions, I've been getting first position. The way I'll perceive this situation would be, oh, I didn't get, and it would be like really negative because I'm used to getting that first position, and that would shape my my viewpoint of whatever the situation is differently. But the paradigm shift would be if okay, I'm used to getting first position, but what I don't look at the situation the way I'm used to looking at it. If I don't get first position, instead of saying I didn't get it and being sad, I look at it in a positive way. Oh, now there must be something that there is something that I need to work on. I finally found something that I need to work on. I can work on it and make myself better the next time. So that would be kind of a shift in paradigms from like looking at a situation in a negative way and then looking at it in a positive way. That's what I assume, like thought.
Yeah, thank you, Fatma.
And sir,
And if you remember, yes, who's this?
Sir Mark Manson, in his book Septal Art, he says that after we have to whatever the situation is, we have to think positively. It's also a paradigm, sir, that we have to think about the things positively. Although it may be negative, but our perception should be positive that this thing will be go in a positive way. If the things are opposite in our situation, opposite to our situation, that the way we have to go, but the things are not like that what we are thinking. At that time, what we have to do is we have to be in our predicament that what we are doing is the truth and what we are doing is the right. And the uh, this is the habit of the proactive person, that he does whatever he wants, and whatever the result of that thing would be. If it is the failure, he don't think it's the failure. He think it's that the first success of his life. Takes the negative, don't take the thing as a negative perception. If you always think that the what happened is always the truth, always the right, and what he thought was right.
Okay. Thank you, Fazban. Thank you, Fazan, for your sharing. This is a good quote you just mentioned. And I see some hand. So, Ms. Bar, you want to share something?
Yes. So for me, paradigms are something like a framework or a pattern according to which you are working, or you are just like, okay, according to my opinion, paradigms are something through which we view the world, the framework, the lens through which we see the world or see our life or we spend our lives. So it may be your center, it may be the principal center, or it may be a temporary center or something like that according to the second habit. So paradigms are some sort of things according to which we actually work on something, or according to which we just for example, if we take the example of like a principle of positivity. So if I have a paradigm of positivity, I will view the world not just looking at the situation. I will see it in a positive manner. So this is my paradigm, and it can change according to time, and so paradigm is something which lies in our centers. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Bar. Thank you for sharing. Before we go further, I will just give you a quick thought on that paradigm also. And if you remember, when Sterling was talking about, then he talked two things. One is the fix and the growth. This is also a good example of paradigm shift. That a lot of people, they think that they cannot do it. They cannot. They can never be successful. That's it. This is their life because they don't have opportunity. They don't have wealth. They don't have skills. They don't have capabilities. So this is a paradigm that you can live in. The another paradigm, as Starling was mentioning, paradigm of growth. Yes, I can do it. Yes, we can move forward. Yes, I can achieve it. Yes, I can fulfill my dream. But before we talk a little bit more on the paradigm, you need to think about that. What is paradigm? Paradigm is basically perceptions. Perceptions can come due to our personal experience, due to childhood experience, due to the peers, due to the media, due to the surroundings, due to there are a lot of other things. I can give you a good example here. That says, for example, some of you has a bad accident and a dog uh, bite you when you are very young. So you will have a self-generated paradigm in your mindset that dogs are a very bad animal and we should not close to the dog. Even you see that thousands of people are carrying dog in their laps, they're playing with dogs, but you have a paradigm. Why? Because an experience you have in your past. Sometimes what happens in your work environment, in your family, in your friends, some people told you about someone. He's not good, he's a liar, he is a cheater, he's this, he's that. Then even you never met him, even you never know him, even you never talked to him. But due to your peers' information or due to the media, due to the another things surrounding that feeding you the information, you created a paradigm, you created a perception. So whenever you're going to talk to that person, you have a paradigm. And when you talk to the person with that paradigm, what happened that you will not be a successful person to deal with your negotiation, with your communication. So this is one of the major things that Covey was talking about. One, to understand habits. Number two, understand paradigm. Because if you understand paradigm, and he has given a different examples of paradigm in his book also, and maybe you can you know a lot uh, of those and like examples in his book and other examples. But I will share you one real example in of my life regarding the paradigm. So when I came to United States almost around 27 years ago, within a year and a half, I got a job in one of the very high reputed companies called General Motors, GM, and I was assigned a very like critical project. And maybe you guys heard about ISO 9000. So I will be assigned as the lead auditor of the ISO 9000. And the company of General Motors is very famous, a renowned company around the world. And the city where I was get hired, that consists of 3,000 people. And I was the only Muslim people, and and the another one guy from India. So we are the only two people. So just think about that the paradigm shift was in our coworker, in our peers. They looked at me and they was thinking that this guy coming from Pakistan, and he is now heading such and such department, and we are working here for the last 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, 15 years. So, and this is coming from third world, and how he's going to run the setup and all this. So they have a paradigm about me, a lot of negative thoughts, a lot of things that they have in their mind. So it was a very difficult situation for me. And the first challenge I had to change their paradigm about myself. So even what I did, that even I have a lot of resistance from them. First thing I did that I opened my like services to anyone, because I was very good in computer, I was good in programming, I was good in a couple other management areas. So first of all, they don't know exactly that I have those skills. And when I start helping them creating their reports, creating their presentations, training them different skills, so suddenly the whole environment was getting changed. And those people who even don't want to talk to me, don't even respond to my questions, my messages, my emails, now they are becoming my friend. And the union leadership was one of the I was one of the first person that has been recognized in that company through the union leadership. So this was the first time in the history of that company has happened. So what happened that the paradigm has changed. So whatever they are thinking about me, it's not that they talk to me, they learn from me, they have communicated with me, but they are thinking negatively. Why? Because they have a paradigm due to the media, due to the different things that is happening. But that paradigm has been changed, and now the same group is now my friend, and we are working as a team, and we are one of the best team around the world of the General Motors team. So this is a good example of just want to give you a paradigm shift. Yes, I saw some hands, please.
Sir, those weren't hands. They were people clapping for you. Like you did a great job. So, uh,
Okay. Okay, thank you. So basically, first of all, the reason I'm giving you example that you not only change your own paradigm, but you also think about others. They may have a paradigm about you, especially when you're going to the new area, new office, new places, in you're admitting a college. So, say for example, if you're getting admission in the best college of the country or best college of the United States, or if you are coming from a third world, people have a paradigm about you. So you have to change that paradigm. And then you have to look at that, okay, what is the way? So perception is not only that you should changing perception for others, the same way you need to change the perception of the people about you. So paradigm change is very important, very critical. So any comments, question, any discussion, anybody wants to talk?
Excuse me, sir, you're muted.
Okay, so let's go to the step forward. So quickly review regarding the first habit. So be proactive. I just want, and I just need one answer from anyone. You can help me out. So in the be proactive, we talk about two different type of people. One is called reactive people. One is called proactive people. So when you analyze yourself, first of all, do you know where you stand? And the second thing is that what are the major difference you see between reactive and proactive people? So can someone of you can give me an example that this is one of the biggest difference between reactive and proactive people?
I have a recent example. So recently we are having student council elections in my college. So I was participating in that. For me personally, I would say I'm somewhere between being reactive and proactive, depending on the situation. You know, the situation matters. So we were doing these. It was Friday, like this Friday. We were doing student council elections, and there was chaos, like a lot of chaos on the campus. There were 5 volunteers that were assigned to tell this, like people who were going for interview, the council people, like to sit down at certain spaces, and they weren't able to manage it all, and it was really chaotic. So I would say that was like kind of a reactive situation. They were like, okay, please sit down, go there and go there, telling people to do that. And then there was this girl who came in, and she was like, why are you guys doing this? You could have just made a list of people and told them to go to their classes, and you call them by whenever their turn comes. So that was one of the things that I admired about that girl, because I mean, if they had her on board, and she would have probably suggested that at the beginning. So that would be an example of being proactive, because she would be ready for this huge crowd of people wanting to give interviews for student council. But they didn't have her on board, and they were like all messed up because they didn't know what to do. And they were like reacting to the situation. Okay, there's a lot of people. They were trying to get people somewhere else so that the interviews are not disturbed, because they were being held in a room and all that. So that was one of the examples I had.
Thank you, Fatma. So anybody has any other example between reactive and proactive? Maybe your daily life or any other things? That how these people behave, how these people. So let me give you another thought in your mind. And just by the way, Sterling, you are our guest speaker today, so please jump in whenever you want. I don't need to ask you, so please just whenever you want, you can jump in. So just again, give you a good example. Yes, you want to say something, Sterling?
Yes, I just wanted to sort of give an example of from my life that's happened just this past week, actually, between proactive and reactionary. Here on campus, there's been a movement to get rid of our school song, and to sort of speak out against that. And so this past Wednesday, I actually ended up going and being proactive and making sure that people know and to defend this song. I actually went on national television on Wednesday to sort of speak out against these individuals on my campus who were trying to get rid of the song, and to speak out against them and make sure that the song is defended and that the principles that I believe in are stood up for here on campus. And I think that the differences between a proactive individual and a reactionary individual is that proactive person sees a potential problem and goes out and tries to fix it, speaks out against it, and make sure that they can transform that problem into a solution and into an improvement of their environment and of their society. Whereas versus a reactionary individual will see a problem, but wait for that problem to affect them, so that the externalities and the after effects ultimately get out of hand, and they are instead of being active and taking action against the problem, they're reacting to all the side effects and unable to actually get to the heart of the problem and fix the sources of that issue. Instead, they're just reacting to the side effects. So I think that I just want to speak on that, give a personal example of what I've done just this past week. And I think that so far this discussion has been going very well. So I appreciate being here.
Yeah, thank you, Sterling. Thank you so much for your feedback. So let me add one quick other spin on this topic, and then I'm still looking forward to see your comments. So when you see people normally blame others, so if something goes wrong and people start blaming that you did it wrong, I know that Fatma did it wrong. She always do this, and she never did something like that. So what do you think that those people who normally blame every time others and don't take responsibility of something wrong, are you consider them as a proactive people or a reactive people? So obviously you will go for reactive. I don't need to have your answer. But now you need to see the difference. Say, for example, whatever you are doing, and just look at that what you can add value to that. Whatever you're doing is either your personal, your community, your school, your college. As Sterling was giving the example that what he thinks that the best way he can help, so he did it. So technically, what happened that the major difference between reactive people and proactive people is that they take responsibility. They take the leadership. They take they start planning. They start strategies. They develop things that how to do it. The reactive people normally they didn't get involved in the planning stage, in the strategy stage, and sometimes they jump in at the end or in the middle. And if something goes good, they will take the credit. If something goes bad, they will just blame others. That I know this is going to happen. This is the reason that I never involved in it. So there are a lot of things can happen. So my question in this regard, that we have learned a circle of concern and circle of influence. So can anybody can talk to me about what is these two circles are, and being a proactive, where you should stay? Anyone? Can you quickly recall everyone whatever we learned last time about circle of concern and circle of influence?
Sir, according to me, there are something जिनको हम खुद कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं और कुछ ऐसी चीजें होती हैं जो कि हमारे कंट्रोल में नहीं होती. तो जिनको हम कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं, the things that we can control, they are included in our circle of influence, and we can make it more better. And the things we cannot control, they are included in our circle of concern. I think so. That's really this. So you're muted.
Sorry. So thank you, Sharma, for your input. So just quickly, quick thought about circle of influence. So if I ask you that, what are the example of circle of influence, or what is the example of circle of concern? So circle of influence is always a start with you. And always remember one thing, that you are the only one who can control your attitude. The first thing you can influence, you can control, is yourself. Always remember that you cannot control others. You cannot control me, the way I talk, the way I will react, the way I will behave, the way I will walk. You cannot control me directly, but you can control yourself. And always remember that when you're starting controlling yourself or adding values to yourself, that circle of influence is getting bigger and bigger. When it goes from me to my family, then I will impacting my family, my people surrounded by me, my friend circles, my colleagues. So if I improve myself, if I improve my habits, so what is going to be happen, that my circle of influence is getting bigger and bigger. So from me to my family, my colleagues, my peers, my working friends, my college friends, then it goes to my communities, goes to my countries, goes to my world. So technically your circle of influence can grow more and more, but it starts from yourself. So if you want to be a person of influence, you should start focusing on yourself. In the other way around, those people who have very short circle of influence or very minimum circle of influence, what they do, they are basically use their time on those things that is not in their control. So as for example, they always blame if something they have to talk about weather, they have to talk about people, they have to talk about the stock market, they're worried about the traffic, they're worried about different things. So basically reactive people are focused more of circle of concern. And that actually creates a negative energy. And when you create negative energy, your circle of influence gets shrink. But the proactive people, what they do, that they focus themselves, and they So this is the first 3 habit is basically, this is the 3 habits that we have learned in the last couple of weeks. Basically, these 3 habits, if you master these 3 habits, this will increase your circle of influence. And when you increase your circle of influence, everything will change around you. And if you look at the history of different peoples around you, that what type of people they are that those people are basically focusing more on circle of influence or focusing more on circle of concern, you can find easily, distinguish easily between these people. Even you go to different parties, different meetings, different places, and see that how people talk, what they're talking about, how they're handling things, how they're managing things. As Fatma gave a good example, the circle of, and this is a very good example that Fatma shared with us when she was in a program, and it was a very situation, a very like a difficult situation. So then one lady came up. This is the good example of circle of influence, that she came up with a solution that, okay, why don't we do something like this? Then suddenly that candidate or that person is become a person of influence also. Fatma is also sharing about her. And similarly, Fatma, maybe 15 other people were in the meeting, they know about that girl. Why? Because she made a right decision to make a difference. Other people's maybe are still a part of circle of concern. They're talking about that this company is not managing things very well, and they have not organized, they didn't do things right, and they are very weak in planning and all those things. Another example I always give, and maybe I mentioned you sometime earlier, that in United States it's happened a lot. Sometimes we are in a highway or a traffic in get into a traffic jam, and in Google I can see that it is 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour traffic jam, or something happened, an accident. So even if I'm traveling with like 3 or 4 people, either with the family or friend, everybody has a different reaction to that. Some they get mad, some they get blame on the traffic, the road. People don't drive carefully, they get an accident, and we have to suffer, and this and that. Some people came out of the car, start shouting and just blaming each other. And even in the same team, we have a couple people, they just start talking to each other. Okay, so we have 1 hour, we are stuck in traffic, so why don't we do that? We can discuss XYZ, or we can call someone to have a conference call to get this thing done, so we can utilize this 1 hour in some better way. So this is a good example of circle of influence and circle of concern. So I don't want to go a lot more on that, but if anyone want to share their thoughts of circle of influence, circle of concern, please. I give you all those examples so you have a better like ideas in your mind. So some of you has never talked in this meeting. So always remember that since we have issuing a certification also, so if you don't participate, so it may possible that you may not qualify for the certificate that we issue. Yes, you can attend the meeting, it's not a problem, but you have to participate, you have to answer questions, you have to be involved in the training somehow, some way. So yes, anyone wants to say anything?
I might add some more examples, I guess. So basically, it's still revolving around the student council situation because that's the hype in my college right now. And I was considering, standing as the head girl. And I asked a few friends and I asked my teachers, one of my friends was like, no, Fatma, you shouldn't do it. You have your university applications and you have your academics and extracurriculars. And it was like a no for standing as a head girl. And then I asked another senior, and he was like, oh, she was actually telling me that it's a good opportunity. And it was all like, you should do it. She was on the yes side for the head girl. I came home, I asked my parents. My parents were like, no, you shouldn't do it. And my teacher, one of my teachers were, well, actually, two of my teachers were like really persuading me to do it. So I consider like my family, my friends, and my teachers, these are the people that I usually spend my time with. More than half of my day is spent with them. I'm home and I'm at college. So this was my circle of influence. And there was this, um, they were disagreeing on me standing because half the people were like, you shouldn't do it, and half the people were like, you should. And at one point, when you mentioned your circle of influence starts with you, I had these two sides. Okay, half the people want me to do it, half the people don't. And I ended up listening to myself. And I did that because, you know, if like all like the people around me supported one idea, I wouldn't have done it. Maybe not standing, I would have not stood up and not listened to myself. But at that moment there were like two different ideas that I should or I shouldn't, and they were both equally valuable. The people that were suggesting them were both valuable to me, and I do listen to them. Your circle of influence is the people that you listen to and that will like help you throughout your life. And there were my parents, my teachers telling me you should do it, you shouldn't do it. So I ended up listening to myself, and I think that's where it's important, because your circle of influence starts with you. And when I ended up listening to myself, I was pretty like content with doing it, because at the moment it was my decision. I didn't listen to what my parents were saying, what my teachers were saying. The only idea I had was, okay, I want to do it because I just do. I didn't have to give reasons for it. And like, okay, my mom told me to do it, that's why I'm doing it, or my teacher told me. So yeah, that was it.
Okay, thank you, Fatma. And regarding influence, I just want to share one quick thing with all of you guys. Always remember the leadership is influence. Nothing less, nothing more. If you have, and one other thing, influence can be positive or negative. You can find people are very influential, but in negative way. People follow them because they have to. People follow them due to fear. People follow them due to some other reason. So they are influenced. They are people who influence, but they create negative influence. So, so you have to make sure that you uh, need to become personal influence, and again, it start from yourself. And one other thing I just want to add yourself, that influence is not something that you can create when you talk to someone, when you deal with something. No, influence is something that can be created by your behavior, your attitude, your action. So say, for example, if you are walking on a street and if you see something on the street that can harm people, if you take that stuff out and put it in the trash or put aside on the road, what is happening? That you did a good job for the safety of the public, but anybody around you looking at you, you created a very positive influence on those people, even though you don't know them, even nobody come to you, even nobody talk to you, but you have created a positive influence. So always remember, like the same way, if you are shouting with someone, if you're fighting with someone, you are creating another influence to all those people around you who are looking at you, who are watching you. So every act you do, everything you do, the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you perform, you are creating influence. So become a personal influence. Always be careful that how you do things. So now I'm coming to the next topic of the day. And we already talked about the first habit, and we discussed a couple things. If you remember, what was the second habit? Anybody can quickly remind me?
Beginning with the end in mind.
Beginning with the end in mind. So if we go for it, I have just one quick question with the beginning of end in mind. And if I remember, I don't remember that who was presenting, but it was very clear in the presentation you guys talk about that everything created twice, once in our mind and once in reality. So this is something that, and let me go and link everything. So when I talk to you about be proactive, and when I talk be proactive, I give you some examples that you need to start thinking about yourself first. What are the things that you may need to make a difference in you, then in your family, in your community, in the country, around the world, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But whatever you decided, you have to have begin with the end in mind. So say, for example, if you want to be proactive in your health, in your education, in your future goal, in your family relationship, in any other thing, you have to begin with end in mind. So say, for example, if you're trying to generate a better health, weight loss, or hygiene, or diet control, or whatever the goal you have, your personal goal regarding the health, your personal goal, maybe relative to your spiritual needs, your personal goal, negative to the relationship in the family. So, say, for example, you want to be proactive in a way that you don't have very good relationship with your cousins or your brothers or sister or somebody else in the family. So now we want to be proactive. We want to make things different. You want to add values in you and others too. So whatever you want to do, you have to start with the end in mind. So say, for example, you don't have very good relationship with someone and you want to be proactive. You want to be start a better relationship. You want to take move on that direction. First of all, you need to look at the end results, very vivid results. So say, for example, this is your first cousin and you are in the same age group, but you didn't talk to you for the last 1 year due to anyway XYZ reasons. So now you want to be proactive. You want to accept if you have done any like mistake, you can say sorry to him or whatever the plan is, that's fine. But the question, this habit is talking about begin with end in mind. So if you want to get a better relationship, what is your objective is? What is your goal is? You want to see you and him as the same buddy as you before, or is more than that? You want to see him and you or her and you playing together and going for hiking, working for same projects, or doing something fun, or some many special projects working together. Whatever you have in mind, or maybe you can just think about a room where you both are sitting, talking to each other, enjoying and clapping and hugging each other, whatever the way you want to achieve your goal, you have to have a very clear picture in mind. So say, for example, when we are talking about be proactive, you want to change your attitude and behavior. You want to be more a person of influence. So begin with the end in mind. So if you want to be a person of influence, what you should look like, how people will behave you, how people will talk to you, how people will communicate with you, what your role should be when you go on such meeting or in community projects and all those things. So everything should start with end in mind. You have to have very, and this is very strong, I can tell you that. And this is in every religion, it has been also very focused that our spiritual power is basically very important and critical. And it can make a big difference in our physical environment. So this is the thinking, spiritually something that is not happened today, but it's going to be happen in the future. This is spiritual power. So that is very important and critical. So even, say for example, if you're going to a meeting today, meet someone, you start, before you go to the meeting and start the meeting, you have to have an end in mind, that what you want to achieve out of this meeting. What do you think that you should, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? Think of those and think about that, how it happens. Let's assume that you want to be a doctor and be proactive when you fix your personal goal. You want to be a doctor, engineer, whatever. Just think about the end in mind, that what type of physician you are. You are maybe you are in specialized in XYZ area, what type of office you are maintaining, how many people are working with you, how your building looks like, how your theater looks like, and all those things. So start thinking. And this, the beauty of the second habit is that this is an imagination. And Allah give us this capability, and we are the only creation of God that have this type of capability, that we can start, think, visualize, plan, and without any end and without any disruption. So you can think and visualize whatever you want. Nobody will know. Nobody even get into your mind and say that, no, you cannot do that, you cannot think that. It's your own universe. You can create whatever you want. But the question is that when you are decided you are going to be proactive, then you are deciding different things. Then you go to the next topic, that whatever you're deciding, either it's your personal goal, your professional goal, your spiritual goal, your health related, your family related, your community related, you have to have your end in mind. And then I will go to the last topic. And in the last,
Sir,
yes.
We are almost out of time. It's already like 10:30, and I think we should get some feedback from Mr. Mosley. And although
Sure.
it's an interactive session that no one wants to end at time, but like we are running out of time, and yeah, we should kind of let
Yeah.
him.
Thank you, Ahmed. And this is something I love to be. And when you are an MC, you need to control the time. Thank you, man. I love it, and I like it. We need to make sure that everything will go on time. Yes, you can go ahead and take the lead, and then we can follow.
So please, Ms. Mosley, would you like to give us some feedback on today's session and share some of your thoughts?
Sure, yes. I think that, first off, today's session, I think, has gone quite well. And I think that the laying out those habits of having a goal in mind at the end and continually being proactive, I think are really the building blocks for building a successful program, a successful movement within your local community. And I think that building and having that foundation is really what allows you to be a better person and someone who, as I mentioned before, who has a growth mindset and can actively seek out opportunities. And I think that overall, I thank you all for the great work that you are doing here, and thank the participants for participating and hearing some of the examples that you gave and the stories that you had were really inspirational. And I thought that it was fantastic to get to know more of you some more. And I just wanted to say that overall, I think that this program is great. Thank you so much for having me here. it was fantastic to speak to you and to give my perspective on things. So thank you very much.
Okay, so before we end the session, I'd like to quote one of the sayings from Mr. Mosley when he came back from the Gilgit trip of his. And well, he said that as global citizens, we should all strive to better ourselves, our communities, and our nations, and like the understanding between our people and the generosities of our society. And we should all strive to better understand one another in order to broaden our horizons and implement change in the world. So if we like, it's, although it may not seem like you can say a big task right now, that you are an individual and you may think that you alone can't do anything, or like I alone can bring about a big change. But it's the meetings like these, like we have the GCYA, or you can say the mastermind group, that brings about individuals to create a better impact on the world. And I think like I actually stand firm with what Ms. Mosley said, that we should all strive together for a better world. So maybe one day, like instead of being separate nations or like separate countries, for example, this is United States or this is Pakistan, we can all call ourselves as one world or one earth. So yeah, that's kind of what I think. Thank you, Mr. Mosley and Mr. Anwar. Mr. Mosley, I'd like to thank you especially because of all you did in Gilgit and all your work, and Mr. Anwar for joining us and sharing those like golden words of information. And I hopefully we'll see you next time. So thank you.
Okay, thank
Thank you very
you,
much.
Ahmad, for your good hosting today, and thank you, Sterling, for joining us. And please join us time to time whenever you are available to give your feedback. The youth need leaders and people like you. Good job, keep it up. Thank you, team.
Thank you. Yes, it was great to join you, and hopefully in the future I can come back and engage more in some of these conversations, because it's been fantastic. So thank you again.
If you want to leave, you can, but like if you want to just talk about anything with Sir Anwar or Mr. Mosley while they're here, or if you have any questions, you can ask them, but try to keep it short because we don't have much time. Okay. I don't think no one has any questions. So yeah, that's kind of it for today's session. And hopefully we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye. यार दानियाल और फातिमा ये ऑन करी.
What? I'm going. I'm tired. बस बहुत हो गई.
यार दफा हो जा.
Bye bye. I have college tomorrow. Continue your chat with Daniel.
निकल जा. अच्छा सारे सुनो मेरी बात, जो जो इधर है वो मुझे फीडबैक दे कि आज का सेशन कैसा था. फातिमा तू दफा हो जा यहाँ से, तेरी किसी को जरूरत नहीं है.
आप should do something better. छोड़ दो. Gibran will हमारी presentation next week होगी. We'll prepare for that. Don't listen to this dude. ये फारेग है, इंतहाई फारेग है.
अबे मैं क्या पूछ रहा हूँ, मैं फीडबैक मांग रहा हूँ. Idiot.
Go do your stuff. You know, study.
फातिमा शर्ट, फातिमा शर्ट भैंस कहीं थी. अच्छा यार देखो, तुम सारे लीव कर सकते हो, जिसने रहना रहे, जिसने दानियाल के साथ बात करनी है वो दानियाल के साथ बात करे. और फातिमा को उसके घर वाले तंग कर रहे हैं, इसलिए वो नहीं बोलेगी, है ना फातिमा? सारी ला दे। खैर ठीक है फिर यार, आज का सेशन इधर
दोनों
खत्म हो,
बोल रहे हैं ना, जाओ।
दफा हो
थैंक्स सो मच अहमद, थैंक्स अ लॉट यार, थैंक्स सो मच। आज का
हाँ
सेशन बहुत अच्छा गया वैसे।
श्योर यार। खैर निकलो तुम लोग, कौन कौन है इधर? 2 दानियाल है हमारे पास, 1 जिब्रान है। यार दानियाल, वी शुड डिस्कस आवर प्रेजेंटेशन टू। इधर कोई अपना बंदा है? नहीं है इधर बंदा,
हमारे ग्रुप के आई गेस शाहनवाज भी नहीं है।
कोई भी नहीं है। चलो नेवर माइंड, कुछ नहीं होता, अगली बारी सही। ठीक है फिर मिलते हैं यार अगले हफ्ते।
इंशाल्लाह यार, इंशाल्लाह।
ओके, मैं एंड करने लगा।
थैंक यू सो मच अहमद। और एंड कर दो ना, और रिकॉर्डिंग को
हाँ,
स्टॉप कर दो।
ओह शिट।